Welcome to the only daily podcast focusing on compliance news of the day. Each morning, start your day with a cup of coffee and Tom Fox, the voice of compliance, to hear about 4 of the top compliance, corruption, or leadership stories you will need to start your day. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network.
First, a word from our sponsor. The Daily Compliance News for August 15, 2022, the Too Little, Too Late edition. And we begin with that story from ESPN as former Houston Texans quarterback and now Cleveland Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson has apologized to women who have accused him of sexual misconduct during massage sessions. He said, quote, "I want to say that I'm truly sorry to all the women I have impacted in this situation," end quote. Prior to Friday, this statement was made on Friday. In the only 2 interviews since joining the Browns, he said he had no regrets for any of these actions. So is this because the upcoming appeal of the 6-game suspension, or is he settled enough lawsuits he doesn't think he's in trouble, or is he just really remorseful now? Who knows? Anyway, it's too little, too late, Deshaun. Next up, TikTok continues to garner frustration in Washington as many are concerned about national security issues which have never been resolved around TikTok. The Trump administration had recommended certain protections be put in place, but for some reason these have not been put in place by the Biden administration. And I think there's a growing recognition that the Chinese government is swooping in to take the data in TikTok, although, of course, they say they don't. So given the national security implications after the Russian invasion of Ukraine and now potential invasion of Taiwan, something really needs to get done on this issue. Next up, from the Washington Post, last week, Paraguay's vice president and a candidate in the country's presidential elections next year announced his resignation on Friday after the U.S. officially blacklisted him for significant acts of corruption. The news thrust the South American nation into a moment of political uncertainty, fostering a lack of trust in the government in the midst of an electoral season. So, frankly, it's good to see that if someone gets put on the special designated list or one of the general bad guy lists, that it would cost them at least running for presidency in another country. And finally, from Reuters, a federal jury in Boston found former Platinum Partners portfolio manager Daniel Small guilty of securities fraud and conspiracy, making him the 4th conviction of a former executive at the hedge fund which once managed over $1.7 billion in assets. So continued robust enforcement of securities laws, and yet another hedge fund manager is found guilty, at least from Platinum Partners. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network and a proud member of C-Suite Radio. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you'll join me again tomorrow.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.